Hockey Inside Out, presented to you by the Montreal Gazette.
Welcome to the Hockey Inside Out Show. I'm Montreal Gazette sports editor Stu Cowan, joined this week by Chris Nyland, Jack Todd, and Mike Boone. Trade deadline coming up. Chris, does Marc Bergevin have to make a move, or could he stick with what he's got?
I don't know if he has to. I mean, if he really wants to win the Stanley Cup this year, I think he does. But then you're looking at screwing with the base of this team, the core of this team. Because the piece he needs is definitely a top 6 forward, a guy who can score goals, or a tough-ass defenseman who can play. So, you know, I don't know if he feels the need to do it. I think he wants to stick to his game plan of building this team so they can be competitive, not just in 1 year, year after year. So, you know, he doesn't have to make a move. And could the Canadiens win a Stanley Cup? Again, I don't think they're big enough for the long run. They have a goaltender that could steal them maybe some games, but I don't think you can just steal your way to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, so I don't want to see any kind of move that messes that with the core broadly defined, and I include people like De La Rose in the core, that your future core, that this is what you don't want to give up. The deal he made last year was perfect. Kohlberg for Vanek. Vanek came in, gave him a huge boost until the playoffs, and if they can make a deal like that, I'm for it. Otherwise, just don't tamper with what you got.
I think the popular speculation is that he's looking to make a hockey deal this year, too. It's not going to be a rental. Mm-hmm. And there would have to be something very, very attractive for him to part with any assets.
I don't think he's gotten beat in a trade yet. Not even close. So
I
have faith in him in that sense.
Yeah.
You know.
There seems to be a special bond on this team, Chris. They seem to really like each other. What was the most close-knit team you ever played on?
86 team, I think. You know, we struggled down the end. We had issues with coach guys. A lot of guys didn't care for him. They didn't believe in him. And Bob Gainey and Larry Robinson really kept that team together, to be honest with you. And it was so close. We had a terrible stretch at the end of the season. We won 4 games in our last 16, and it was not looking good, and we really came together at the right time, and we just ripped through the playoffs that year.
Now, the Habs had 5 seats reserved for the Leafs-Panthers game on Tuesday night. Marc Bergevin, Rick Dudley, cap specialist. Seems like everybody was there. If they were looking at Phil Kessel and you could fit him on the Canadiens under the salary cap, would you take him, Jack?
I hate to say this because Mike is pretty tough and I'm afraid he'll punch me, but, you know, Chris, help. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't take him if Toronto was paying his salary and they wanted nothing in return. I just think he's poison. He gets in one of his moods. He goes into a funk and he puts the whole team in a funk. I absolutely don't question his high-end talent in that sense. If you could get a Phil Kessel with Thomas Plekanec's attitude, great. But if he was like that, he wouldn't be available.
He's a point-a-game player of great skill. He's a scorer, which is precisely what they need. You talk about his moods. He deals with Toronto. He's living in Toronto. It's the Toronto media. The Dalai Lama would be moody.
PK Subban, after the game against the Leafs, almost sounded like a PR guy for Kessel, praising him and what a great guy he was.
Both at the same salary level, you know, you got to stay tight, you know, in the union. You know, listen, Kessel's not a bad guy, I'm sure. I've heard some good things about him, Brian Burke. Not a bad guy. He's different in ways, you know. And I mean, we got to hang the guy because he's different. But yeah, I just think he's a little temperamental. When we think about hockey players, the hard-ass hockey player, he's not the hot-ass hockey player. He's the temperamental goal scorer.
It sounded a lot like ballerina.
Carey Price is leading the NHL in goals against average, 1.93. Save percentage, 935. Is he better?
Oh, he's the best in the world right now. There's no question about it. You know, technically everything is perfect. He's good. Yeah, the puck hits him. He gets in the way. The best.
He's the only reason they won a game this year.
Is he better than Patrick Roy was in his prime right now?
I'm not willing to say that until he wins a Stanley Cup or at least carries a team. You know, his playoff numbers have not been great. Everything else is off the charts fantastic. The things he's doing for this team, you know, getting rushes going up the ice. He swatted away a hard shot against Detroit just like that, just with his stick. You know, the puck is steaming in, and he handles it like I threw him a beach ball, you know. But I still want him to see him bear down the way Patrick could. You know, one game, you got to win Game 7 of a playoff series. Patrick is the man.
He's got one thing missing from the CV. He's won the World Juniors. He's won the Olympics. Yeah. It's got to be the Cup at this stage of his career.
His lifetime playoff record is 17, 21, and 4 with a 2.73 goals against average and 909 save percentage.
Marino was a great quarterback, but that's what it's going to come down to at the end if he doesn't win a Stanley Cup. Yeah, I'll gold medal. Yeah, World Junior. Yeah. At the end, they're going to look at it and say, how many Stanley Cups did he win?
We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. Watching the Leafs game against the Habs, when Nathan Beaulieu dropped the gloves against Clarkson, I thought about you. What was your reaction when you saw that happen?
I was so happy to see him do it. I wish something like that would happen when the goaltender gets run over. The best goaltender in the world right now, who's keeping your team afloat, who's winning a lot of games for your hockey team, and no one does that when he gets run over. But Nathan Beaulieu, again, he endeared himself to the fan base, to his teammates in doing that, and obviously to Gonchar, but it was just awesome. Yeah, everybody. I love seeing it. I love Nathan
What
Beaulieu.
impressed me is he didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Like, Gonchar was still going down, and I saw the gloves come off. And he went, you know, and Clarkson's a veteran brawler, Beaulieu isn't.
And he said he knew who it was, too.
Oh, yeah, I know he knew what it is. Because, you know, I remember Patrice Brisebois. One of the things that used to drive me crazy about him is your guy would get mugged, and Patrice would eventually walk over and give you a little bit of this.
Don't do that, yeah.
Yeah, like.
Well, think about it. You know it was in the past, right? And that's one thing I don't like. When Pacioretty got hit,
yeah.
Someone comes and they look and, oh, it's him. So, hey, that was cheap, you know. Like, bang, get right in there and do it, no matter who it is. And Nathan Beaulieu, he made this decision right away, and it was Clarkson, tough kid, and right away he didn't hesitate. So,
but Gomez, I hate to cite Scott Gomez as a source of knowledge,
well,
but on the Pacioretty,
there were other guys on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said. Gomez's line was, do you want two guys on a stretcher?
Was it a dirty hit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on.
There's no suspension, no anything?
The Pacioretty one was dirty. This one, no suspension. Again, I think Gonchar put himself in a vulnerable position. He should have known. He knew it was Clarkson on the ice. He should have known he was coming in, tried to protect himself and play the puck at the same time. He didn't do it. He kind of put himself in that position. The other guys committed to the hit. Honestly, I don't think it's suspendable.
Now, the fighting in the limelight again, we have this tragic story of Steve Montador this week, the latest hockey player who, we don't know exactly what happened, but 35 years old. Your thoughts just on that?
Well, we know that concussions are linked to depression. He was suffering from depression. He had had concussions. You don't want to extrapolate too much, but I don't think this is going to stop until they really get tough on it. Kulikov's hit this week, it wasn't a hit to the head, but the league is still very reluctant to crack down in a way that is going to get some attention and get the dirty hits out of the game.
It's a delicate balance, though, in a physical game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to turn it into the Swedish Hockey League, especially as the playoffs approach.
Mm-hmm. No. He had also, Montador talked about just the tough adjustment of life after hockey. I guess that's...
Yeah, he did, and guys have a tough time. I don't care. You can prepare all you want. The fact of the matter is when it's gone, you're in a place that... a lot of people don't have to be in their lifetimes, like looking at retirement at a young age and what am I going to do next? And it's not an easy thing. I think when guys leave, like I said, they prepare all they want, but when it happens, it's like, oof, it's a shock to the system. Some guys deal with it better than others. I did not deal with it well. I had a difficult time. And I wasn't the first and I won't be the last.
When I think of things like this, I always think back to John Kordic, Jack. Your memories of covering him when he was with the Canadiens?
Yeah, Kordic was screwed up from the beginning, but he was a good guy, I think, at heart. He had a good heart. He just, I remember after he got dealt or something, and he was in a hotel room somewhere, and he called Red, and he talked to him for an hour and a half. Well, you know what a guy's doing when he's talking to you really fast for an hour and a half and chewing his lips off?
He didn't reverse the charges.
No. Red wouldn't have taken the call. you know what's going on. It was like a cry for help, I think. But if you don't really know the symptoms of what he's doing, you didn't know. It was a shame because a heck of a fighter, almost as good as this guy.
Yeah, it was sad, John Kotick. Again, Johnny didn't want to be a fighter. He was told the only way you're going to make it in the NHL is if you could start fighting. And, he started getting to the weights and all that other stuff, and he got big, and he was doing a job he really didn't enjoy doing.
Now, one of the nicest things to watch this week with the Canadiens, or recently, has been Jacob de la Rose coming up and playing center. Man, does he look good, Jack.
He looks just so terrific. The way I put it was, I don't think I've ever had this feeling about a rookie before. In that very tight game against Detroit, when he went off the ice, you felt nervous. And that's how well he was playing in his own end. There was a play where Detroit started up ice down the middle of the ice, got the puck in front of their own net, started to move it up. 4 or 5 long strides. He comes in from this side, takes the puck like he's taking it from a baby, turns it back in. Holy cow. This kid he's Swedish and he's leading the team in hits. He can skate. We don't know about his offensive upside yet, but man, he belongs out there right now.
What's your impressions of him been watching from the press box, Mike?
I was trying to follow Jack on the play-by-play. I think, for a 19-year-old, terrific. But, I think what he is going to become is a really excellent third-line center. That's what I see.
Yeah, good play. A lot of good signs from this kid. Big, good size, everything. This coach really likes him. I think he's sleeping at the coach's house. He's giving him a bedroom there. Said, kid, coming home with me. He puts him in every situation.
As long as he doesn't give him his wardrobe.
Believe me, he won't take it.
Now, you're one of the people who have talked about Alex Galchenyuk maybe not being ready to play center. What's the difference you've seen between Galchenyuk and de la Rose in the center position?
He got toasted a little bit early. A couple of minuses that he didn't like. I know the first game was -3. He was like, oh my God. But again, it takes time to adjust to that. As far as playing center, maybe he's a little more comfortable right now. Galchenyuk, I think, feels that if he plays now, he got to pay so much attention in his own end that it's going to take away from his offense. And if you don't want to play a certain position, all you have to do is go up to the coach and say, hey, coach, I don't want to play center. And he'll put you somewhere else. At least if you're Alex Galchenyuk. Everybody else, forget about it.
That's it for another week of Hockey Inside Out Show. We'll be back next week.